Welcome back to Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Make sure you smash that thumbs up, subscribe to Mets Daily, scan that code, become Mets Daily Insider member for just $5 a month, cheaper than a cup of coffee. Welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday, October 22nd. We're still a couple of days in the World Series. Some Mets housekeeping news to keep track of. Francisco Lindor had a minor elbow procedure. He's expected to be fully ready for spring training. Now, we didn't put this as a headline because it's minor. You know, it's procedure to his right throwing elbow, minor cleanup. Following 2023, similar, he had surgery to remove bone spurs from that same elbow. Hopefully, that doesn't end up affecting him next year, but that is what's going on with Lindor. Can Lindor have a new teammate on the infield? Well, some interesting news today is that Kazuma Okamoto will be posted from Japan. He becomes the first position player in Yomiuri Giants franchise history to be made available through the posting system. Now, we've known and talked about Murakami, but we have not talked about Okamoto. And anyone who really, says they know about the guy, they know him, I don't think anyone does. We know his numbers. We're not watching Yomiuri Giants highlights. You just go by Baseball Reference, see what his numbers are, see what stands out about him, see what's good, see what's bad. Here's the good. He's probably going to cost less than Murakami. He's 29. He will be 30 next year. He's coming off a year where he was hurt in Japan, where he played just 77 games, 15 homers, 51 RBIs. Limited time, he did hit 322 with a 411 on base, though. So, obviously very limited, so take it with a grain of salt. But he put up probably the best numbers of his career in a limited season. Now, the question is this. How much will he cost? Does it make sense for the Mets? What's intriguing about him is this. He strikes out a lot less. Murakami, his strikeout rate was 28%. He struck out 150-plus times, basically 3 straight years. These names throwing me off now. Okamoto, much less. Now, he plays first, he plays third, he plays outfield. In his career, he's played mostly third and first, 519 games at first, 835 at third. He's also played 164 games in the outfield. So he is at a lot of different positions. He's also a righty. The Mets do have, obviously, with Soto, with Nimmo. They have a couple of lefties already. He is a right-handed batter. Do you think the Mets should get him? I'm not against it. Listen, I'm not against this. If Murakami's going to cost you a lot more than Okamoto's going to cost you, why would you not go for the cheaper option? Positional flexibility. This is going to be an intriguing case. If the number is not bad, I could see David Stearns being interested. Now, we haven't heard about Stearns scouting this guy. That's the thing. We don't know, have they gone out to see him? We haven't heard anything about that. Unlike Murakami, though, Okamoto is viewed as a plus defender, having won 2 Gold Gloves in 2021 and 2022. And that's where it gets intriguing. This is a guy who will help you with run prevention. We don't know about Murakami. He's not looked at as a plus defender. So can the Mets go for the plus defender, guy with power, who led the league a few times in homers? This is a guy who has power ability. He hit in 2023, 41 homers, 2024, 27 homers, 2022, 30, 2021, 39, 2020, 31, 2019, 31, 2018, 33. So this guy can tear the cover off the ball. Had a bunch of extra base hits as well. He doesn't have much speed, doesn't have many triples, doesn't steal any bases, but the fact he plays good defense, I'm very intrigued by this if the Mets wanted to go this route. But we'll see. Let us know in the comments. Should the Mets try and sign Okamoto? We talked about Francisco Lindor before. Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, and Juan Soto named NL Silver Slugger finalists. Now, I think it's a lock. Alonso should probably win. It's Alonso, Freeman, and Olsen at first. When you just look at the numbers, Alonso had the best overall numbers of the 3. So I would think Pete Alonso wins your first base Silver Slugger. Juan Soto, when you look at the outfielders, 100% is going to win Silver Slugger. His competition, remember, it's 3 outfielders. Get it? Doesn't irregardless of position, Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Stowers, Kyle Tucker, and James Wood. I would think Carroll, Soto, and either Wood or PCA get the third spot, but Soto's a lock to win a Silver Slugger. And then shortstop, Lindor's probably going to fall short to Geraldo Perdomo. Perdomo, more RBIs, better average. Lindor had more homers, but I would guess that Perdomo ends up winning the Silver Slugger over Lindor and Trey Turner at shortstop. But I think there's a realistic chance, and not that it means anything, it's just individual stats, but the Mets will have 2 Silver Slugger winners in Juan Soto and Pete Alonso. So that's always good. You have a couple Silver Sluggers. All right, folks, let's respond to your comments from Tuesday's Mets Daily. Not as many on Tuesday, so make sure you keep the comments coming, guys. We appreciate them, and we'll read them. So appreciate it. All right. Kevin Naristi says, also no to Luis Robert Jr. unless it's a 1-year deal until we figure it out with the farm. Well, Kevin, it is. I mean, that's the thing with Luis Robert and why some people are intrigued. It is a 1-year deal. He has a 1-year team option for $20 million. So it's a 1-year deal. I think they're going to opt in and potentially trade him. Now, they could buy him out and say no, and then he becomes a free agent, and then maybe it's cheap. He's coming off a bad year. But as of now, if they are opting in and you trade for him, it is 1 year. So that's where there is something intriguing with him. Although, again, I'm not in the Luis Robert train. From Radiant Valor and OP, to make matters worse, he's going to play a significant amount of DH for the Mets in 2026. I assume you're talking about Brandon Nimmo, and yeah, you're probably right. Nimmo, I think to keep him healthy, there's a chance he plays DH, depending what the Mets do there. We were talking about, obviously, the Springer-Nimmo dynamic, and obviously it's way back. Yeah, I talked about it because Springer had the big hit. It was worth discussing, but I don't think anyone's losing sleep that George Springer's not a Met. Obviously, they ended up, like I said, with Francisco Lindor. Probably would have been tough since that was, that was just when Cohen got going to have Springer and Lindor. But intriguing to talk about. Oh, Isaac, let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Arcade Perfect reviews. If we had both Springer and Nimmo, it would be good. We had the money for both. I'm not Nimmo's biggest fan, but I wouldn't say he's hurting us. Yeah, I don't think Nimmo's hurting them, but I don't exactly think his contract is helping the Mets. And the fact that he can't play center anymore, when they signed him, he was a center fielder, and I think his contract was valuable then. Now he's a left fielder, and, he's been a bit injury prone throughout his career. I don't know. I do have a feeling he might break down even more next year. We'll see. I just don't think Nimmo provides really leadership. I don't think he's the most clutch hitter, but I don't think he hurts the Mets either. Angel Dill Mother Actor says still prefer Nimmo over Springer. I disagree with that. I think Springer is just much more clutch than Brandon Nimmo. I would rather have George Springer over Nimmo. From Randy Luna 45, LED is going to win the World Series 2025, and he heard no baseball 2027. LED wins this year at the World Series. That is what I hear. Yes, that is probably what happens. Shakamoto says Springer is a cheater. Yeah, and I could say maybe that's why you shy away, or why teams shied away as well. If you factor that in, I could see why people are still salty over that, but I don't really care about that. I mean, it was years ago. It's over with. What happened. They were all cheating on that team. So what can you do? All right, last one from Kevin again. Bro, how is Springer going to help us if we can't make the playoffs? Nimmo isn't Springer. Springer is better, but Nimmo has become more of a power hitter and RBI guy. I'm not sneezing at Nimmo, and it sounds like you are. Nimmo is still producing. It's not like he's a straight bum offensively. It's not like Springer is 5 years younger. Nimmo is not the answer offensively, but he's not the issue. I'm not calling him an issue. I don't dislike Nimmo. I think Brandon Nimmo's a nice guy. He's a solid player. He's not an elite defender. He has no arm. And, he's going to run into injury concerns. He's had injury concerns his whole career. So I don't think Brandon Nimmo's this bad player. I just think that contract kind of hurts the Mets here. When we're talking about 5 years, $102 million left, I think the Mets are kind of screwed where they want to move on from the core. He's one of the core pieces, but he's impossible to move on from because of that number. So, again, I don't think – you got to look at the Blue Jays and some of their numbers. I think everyone wants to just look at homers and RBIs and nothing else, and that's it. Call it a day. But the reality is the Mets had a ton of homers, a ton of RBI guys, and where are they? They're in Cancun. They didn't make the playoffs. So it's not just about how many homers and RBIs a guy has when we talk about the player. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown Live. Follow me, Scan that code, hit subscribe, smash thumbs up. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for watching Mets Daily.